I want to go across to Niharika Karanjawala first. Given the very strong position, Niharika, the centre has taken in the affidavit presented before the Supreme Court, what makes you hopeful that when the proceedings of the Constitution bench start from the third week of April, that there is a chance that same-sex marriages will be legalized, that the Constitution bench will determine in its judgment that same-sex marriages should be allowed, given that the government is opposed to this and a large part of society too would be distinctly uncomfortable with the idea of a man marrying a man or a woman marrying a woman?
Rahul, we strongly believe that this is a question of fundamental rights. We strongly believe that this is a question of interpretation of the current law to be in line with the Constitution and what the Honorable Supreme Court has interpreted the constitutional and fundamental rights of the people to be. And in leading judgments, the Supreme Court has held that members of the LGBTQ community must have equal protection of rights and must be considered at par with other members of society. They must not be discriminated against, and they must have every equal protection. Secondly, they have also recognized the right to marry the person of one's choice as a fundamental right. So here we have approached the Supreme Court because we are firmly of the belief that the petitions and the acts that we have brought forward towards it have the capacity to be interpreted in a gender neutral way and in a way that allows for marriage of this sort. So I am certainly very hopeful of the same. With regards to the impression of society, I am firmly of the belief that Indian society has the capacity for great tolerance. Even back when the 377 matter was being heard, there was a lot of opposition at first, and the great notion that society would not be able to accept this, there'll be havoc everywhere, it'll be a big problem. And that passed and nothing happened. Societal fabric was not rendered, everything was fine. And I'm sure that if the Supreme Court is pleased to grant us these rights, then society will again rise to the occasion and beat on.
You made an important point, and I want to put that to Sriraj Nair, because when the same question was being asked around LGBTQ rights and just the right to live as a homosexual, at that time there was strong opposition that the societal fabric will be torn apart, that Indian society would not accept LGBTQ people. Nothing really seems to have changed. There is a certain amount of space that's been created. Things aren't perfect, but things aren't hidden under the carpet, and people can at least live and breathe as they choose. The likes of Niharika Karanjawala argue that exactly the same would happen if same-sex marriages were to be allowed. I'm looking at the latest data, which says that in 34 countries, same-sex marriages have already been legalized. That covers about 1.35 billion people. That's about 17% of the world's population. And even small countries and big countries are now heading in that direction. It really is only now, it seems, a matter of time. It's not about if, but when.
Well, Rahul, we cannot have all the dirt and the filth of the West to come here in our country. We are a very ancient civilization and a pure civilization. And we are absolutely with the government stance, and we agree with the government by which has taken a stance of not allowing same-sex marriages. Where are we heading the society? Where are we taking the society to? And we have a culture, and this is absolutely a filth which has come from the West. Individual choices may be one aspect, but going for a policy decision and legitimizing is a different aspect.
No, but why are you calling this filth? One second. I want to quote to you what Mohan Bhagwat ji said, the Sarsang Chalak, in an interview to the organizer in January 23, saying that Hindu society does not see transgender community as a problem, adding that LGBTQ people should have their own private and social space. You can't call this filth. This is not the right kind of language, Raj Nair.
See, Rahul, what I said, I said individual choices is a different aspect. But making a policy decision and legitimizing same-sex marriage, we are against that. I never said individual choices needs to be respected, which I don't disagree. But here we are talking about legitimizing or allowing same-sex marriage or recognizing it. That is definitely, we stand with the government. We are absolutely against it.
When it comes to an individual choice, society has now made peace with the idea that there will be people belonging to the LGBTQ community. They must be given some space to live and breathe. However, the government and large parts of the Sangh Parivar do not seem comfortable with the idea of a union between two people belonging to the same sex. That seems to be receiving a very strong pushback.
Yes, so this is my point. You know, the previous speaker just pointed out that we are filth, and then in the same breath he used the word culture. So how can culture and filth be put in the same context? I think we've got our whole mindset wrong. The whole way we look at this is very, very, very wrong, and we need to change that. The moment we say that marriage is a union between a biological man and a biological woman, instantly we know we're talking about procreation. And that's not the only job of a woman and a man. Marriage is a union of love between two people who love each other. I'm married. I was once married to a man, as you may know. I'm now married to a woman. I've been with her for 16 years. I'm an example of how society can change. I come from a very traditional family in Mangalore, that's in India, south of India. And my family has accepted me finally. It's taken a long time, but they've accepted me. We've raised children. I've raised children with my same-sex partner. We've raised them with love. We've given them a safe home. We've given them the education that most parents do. I don't see it as two women or two men raising children. I see it as two parents raising children.